Get ready and strap in for the One Love HTX show, where all our conversations are always raw, unfiltered, and never staged. We can also be found on Instagram, all major streaming platforms, and westcliff.org. Check us out at onelovehtx.org for more info or ways to support the show. Now get ready to dive into conversations you won't always have in church with your hosts, Joshua Duffy and Daniel Salsi.
All right, welcome back to another episode of One Love HTX. Westcliff and Pilgrim. This is obviously Duffy's not here today. It's just going to be me and a special guest that I have for everyone. So I can't wait for you to meet him. Before that, just normal stuff. Go online, onelovehtx.org, to see what we have going on and what's coming up. As this one airs, this is probably going to be a pre-recording, which is always fun. I'm probably either coming off tour with Lacey Sturm or maybe returning. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be fun coming through your town. And of course, all the other guys in the Husos going on tour this summer through Europe, through the US, and all of our people that follow us, 51 countries. Keep an eye on the tours of all of our guys, Sonny POD, Brian Welch from Korn, Ryan Reese doing Huso stuff. It's going to be fun. So we have some things coming up. We haven't locked them in yet, but again, keep an eye on our calendar on our website, and you see those in the Houston area. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce someone. I'm going to get over here on the stream and see if I can get him in. Are you there, JR?
Yes. Hello.
Oh, wow. Man, you got the setup there.
Yeah, I bought all this streaming stuff back in 2020 when everyone was stuck in their house. And so I've still got this setup. I'm like, this is awesome.
That is so cool, man. Okay, I might need to get some pointers from you afterwards on that mic setup. That's awesome. That sounds so clear.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah. How does mine sound? All muffly and weird in a tone?
No, it's very nice. Very good.
Okay, very nice. Cool. Well, those of you who don't know, again, we're streaming in 51 countries, and it's real funny because so many times we don't even know who's watching us. We are huge in Germany, so if you have any Germany followers, this is going to be good.
Awesome. What's up, Germany?
I don't know anyone in Germany.
That's awesome. I've played some shows there over the years, so hello.
Sweet. So before I butcher it, because I've actually in the years I think we met first time. What was that? 2021? Did you play with Spoken at the skate park that we did when you skated?
Yes.
Through poles?
Yeah, dude. I still think about that show.
So cool. Yeah, so cool. So JR, say your last name. I've never said it to you in person because I never wanted to butcher it.
No, that's fine. It's Bareis.
Bareis.
Yeah, it's super weird. No, yeah. Anyone that tries, they always never get it, and it's totally okay. It's weird. Right. I think it's German, actually.
Oh, wow.
But okay. I always tell everyone, I'm like, okay, just think of a bar of ice. Bareis.
Bareis. Okay. Yeah. So here in my space, I'm saying JR, like I'll call Bill and go, hey, do you have JR Bareis's number?
No, yeah. I've heard so many like Bareis. Someone said Bareis one time, but yeah, so it's all good.
Awesome. Okay, Bareis. That's simple. I got it. I'll never forget it now. All right, so JR Bareis. If you don't know, if you do know, I think so. I'm gonna do my stuff that I know, and then I want you to kind of add to it. So I know that you were the guitarist for Love and Death with Brian Welch when he had that band. I know you've toured with several other bands. You're right now currently with Spoken, which is an incredible band. What else? Who are you? What do people need to know when they see who's JR?
Yeah, who's that guy? Yeah. I started playing with Brian and Love and Death back in 2011. That's when I kind of got my start with touring and everything. Crazy story. I was 15 years old, and literally a sophomore in high school, in my youth group doing worship and stuff. And there's a band called Thousand Foot Crutch. I'm sure you've heard of. At the time, they were looking for a guitar player, and they were taking auditions on YouTube just from the public. And so I was like, I had a YouTube channel at the time, and I was just like doing guitar covers for fun. And I was like, hey, I'll try it. You know, I wasn't really thinking I'd win, but I was just like, maybe I'll get more people to subscribe to my channel through it. So recorded the video, put it up, and it got some decent views and some traction, which was cool. But didn't really think much of it though, you know? And so I'd say maybe about a week later, I got a text from a buddy of mine I did some music stuff with at the time. And it was like 6 a.m. And he's just like, hey man, I just got a message from this guy. He says he works for Brian Head Welch, and he was trying to get in contact with you. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? And I like went back to bed. I was like, and so,
prank.
Yeah, I was like, what? And so later that day, I wake up and I go on my Facebook, and I have a message from that guy that was texting my friend, and his name is Justin, and he was like, hey man, just reaching out. I'm tour manager for Brian Head Welch. Would love to like get in contact with you and talk to you if you have a moment. And I'm like, what is going on? And again, I'm 15 years old, and so I'm like telling my parents, and they're like, I don't know, maybe just call him. And I was like, okay. So I call him, and he's like, yeah, so saw your video. Someone that we're mutual friends with on Facebook shared it, and Brian is looking for a guitar player right now. He has like a tour in like a week or week and a half, and didn't know if you'd be interested in trying out for us. You know, send a couple videos you playing some of his songs, and I was just like, I guess, yeah, sure, you know. And I was just like,
and you're at 15 years old. What like at that moment, what's going through your mind? Like, what?
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I didn't really grow up listening to Korn or any of that stuff, you know, and so like I knew his name, but I didn't know a whole lot about him, you know, and so I just knew like, oh yeah, this guy, I think I heard he got saved or something, and like whatever, you know, that was the extent of it. And so I was just like, yeah, you know, I'll learn some songs, whatever, try it. And long story short, I do that, and they are like, we love it, we'd love to have you if you're down. And I'm like, that's great, I just got to ask my parents. and he's like, what? And I was like, well, I'm 15. And they're like, oh, we thought you were like 20 years old from the video or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but like, okay, awesome. And so I talked to my parents, and it's so cool, man. They were so supportive of it. You know, they've known that, you know, God's given me a gift, and the opportunity was there, you know. And you know, most parents, and I totally understand, they would not be like, oh yeah, you're 15, go out on tour with some ex-drug addict that is apparently a Christian now. You know, it's like what? They didn't even know him, you know. But it's cool, man. It's just, it's God leading them, you know, and the Holy Spirit moving, and yeah, and then Brian's management too. They were also like, we don't know if we want an underage kid out there, you know, liability and all this stuff, and Brian was just like, well, we don't have any other options. What are we supposed to do? You know? And so Brian was like, screw it. He signed a legal guardianship over me. So until I was 18 on the road, he was legally my dad.
Wow.
So pretty wild.
I've seen those posts where for Father's Day where you're like, to my second dad.
Yeah, dude, for real.
That is crazy. Okay,
yeah.
I just have so many questions from this because, as you said, you weren't listening to Korn at the time. You kind of knew of this guy.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever listen to Korn? Did they know who he was?
No. And that's the craziest part about all of it. You know, what I think it's kind of cool though too is like, you know, walking into that with Brian, like one, I was really young and stuff, but two, I didn't really have this view of him of like, oh my gosh, I get to go play with Brian Welch. She was in Korn, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. You know, like it was like a real, like genuine, like I walk in, I don't know much about you, but just this beautiful relationship started, you know,
Yeah.
and it was real, and it wasn't like this awkwardness, you know, it was
Yeah.
just like genuine. So,
And obviously he knew 1,000 Foot Crutch because that's some
yeah,
connection there. Yeah.
yeah,
So
he
that,
knew those guys and stuff too and everything. So it was really cool, man, just how, you know, God orchestrated all of that. And yeah, so yeah, long story long. I started with Love and
that's
Death
good.
back in 2011, and then it was under just his name at the time when I started, Brian Head Welch, and then about a year into it is when we changed it to Love and Death, and then we put our first record out in 2013.
Right.
And that year was when he started playing with Korn again. And so that whole year we went out and opened for Korn, like on all their tours and stuff, because we had a record that we put out. So that was a really cool time. And then after that, you know, not that it, I don't want to say it just like fizzled out, but it was just, you know, he was so busy with that now. You know, he was full
Yeah.
time back with Korn, um, and so I was just guitar teching for him for like a year with Korn. You know, I'd be out there just doing all this stuff, and through that met some guys. I'm pretty sure you know them, Islander, Mikey,
Oh yeah.
and the crew,
Mikey will
and
actually be on tour with them. Yeah, June through
yeah,
July.
yeah, yep. But yeah, met them back in 2014 on Mayhem Fest. It was like a tour that Korn was on, and I was out working, and the POD guys told us, they're like, "Oh, you got to check out Highlander, man. They're awesome and stuff." So so we would go watch them on the side stage, like however many times we could throughout the tour, and got to know those guys, super awesome. And then maybe about a month and a half after that tour, I got a text from Mikey, and he was like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "Our guitar player isn't able to do this tour coming up. Didn't know if you'd be down to do it." And at the time, I was like really wanting to do shows again and play, you know, because again, like the Love and Death stuff kind of stopped, and and I loved being out there with Brian and the guys, but you know, I also just I wanted to use my gifts, you know, I wanted to play music and stuff. So, and it was funny because like at the same time as that tour, he asked me about Korn was going out with Slipknot, and they had asked me if I could come out and work for him and stuff. And so I was like, Korn and Slipknot, Islander. I was like, oh man, you know. But really, I genuinely, I just was like, yeah, I think this is an opportunity that I need to step into, you know. So I told Brian, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go play with Islander. Sorry, I won't be out there with you guys, but that's where I feel led to go. So, and that was like, I think it was like October 2014, I want to say something like that, and that led into about 3 years I was with Islander full time, and we put out a record in 2016, and then yeah, in 2017, I
I don't
stepped
think
out of
I
my.
realized.
Say it again.
I
What?
don't. I don't think I realized that you were with Islander.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm just getting to know Islander probably the past year or two. So
yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, I stepped into that in 2014, and they had just put out their first record around that time, and so it was
yeah,
maybe like 3 months after their first record came out that I stepped in. And so it's funny, a lot of people thought I did that first record. They're like, oh man, that first record's awesome. I'm like, thank you. You know, I was like, it's not me, but thanks, you know. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
it was good, man. It was you know, there were some highs and lows, like just for me personally during that time. But I mean, at one point we were, man, I want to say we were out on the road for like 10 months out of the year. You know, we were not home a lot. We were going for it, man. Any tour we could get on, we're on, and we were grinding, you know, sleeping in the van and, and doing it, you know. And I
Yeah,
loved it. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience, but at the same time, I was just like, I don't want to say burnt out, but it was just like it was a lot, you know.
it's a grind. Yeah,
And so I think I got to the point where I was just like, man, I don't know if I can keep doing it like this, you know, like and so
but
ultimately I would say it again.
sorry. all this time, are you doing US? Are you doing anything international, previously with Brian teching or anything, or
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did international stuff with Brian teching and stuff, and Love and Death. We did some stuff overseas too when we were opening with Korn, and
so you're having a great experience coming into the music industry at a young age, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and as you're saying all this, you're like you're getting tired. There's no drugs involved. There's no
No,
alcohol. None of this stuff. You're
no.
clean, which is
Yeah, yeah. No,
you
praise the
know what?
Lord. Seriously, yeah, for real. Like that's one thing. Like I'm definitely grateful for. Like I grew up in church, and which is awesome. I'm so grateful for that, and I had a pretty good shoulder on my head. Shoulder on my head on my shoulders. Had a good shoulder on my head. It's early. It's 8:30 in the morning. Um, but yeah, and also too, just like the people I surrounded myself with. I was grateful, obviously, to have Brian and
Right,
all these different people that love the Lord and went through that stuff. And so
right,
it's just like someone to learn from.
yeah,
And not to say that the temptation hasn't been there, and stuff, but like I've just, grateful to God that um, He's kept me from that stuff, from that kind of addiction and everything.
right.
So yeah, none of that for me on the road, and yeah. So Islander, we toured pretty much the U.S. for the most part, and I know we did Canada a
Okay,
handful of times. We did some shows out there over the years. But that was the extent of it for at least for me with Islander. Um, but yeah, it was about 3 years, 2014 to 2017. I want to say that's how long I was with them, and yeah, so just that was probably one of the biggest things. I was just like I was really worn down, and so just felt the Lord, lead me to step out, and there was no bad blood or anything. Love those guys, super awesome
right.
dudes, and gosh, not that long later. I want to say maybe a couple months later after that happened. I I just got a normal job, or I tried to at least. I got a job at GoDaddy,
Oh
and
wow!
yeah. I was living in Arizona at the time, and they have a couple locations there. But I was just like, part of me is like, I just want a normal, just normal thing,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I did that, and I was in that for
And just so people know what is GoDaddy. It's not who's your daddy. It's
no,
GoDaddy.
yeah, yeah, GoDaddy. What is that? No, uh, they do like domains for websites and stuff, that kind of thing, and you can
You're a
do web
computer guy.
hosting and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So I was literally just going to be on the phones, just support,
Wow.
and so I literally got this job, interviewed, did all the stuff, and then there was like six. I want to say maybe it was three. No, it was six. It was 6 weeks where you're like training, and the first half of it was all in like a classroom at a desk, and they're like teaching you all this stuff, and then once they test you, then they'll put you on the phones and start building you up on the phones the next 3 weeks.
Right.
And I made it to that halfway point, and I passed, and then I didn't go back. I just dipped.
You're like, man, there's no guitar solos in this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was crazy. I was dating someone at the time, and there was some fallout and stuff, and just kind of rocked my world a little bit. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go fly to California and visit one of my best friends, Aaron. He was an Islander for about a year, the last year that I was in it, and he also used to play drums for Avenged Sevenfold, and
Oh
um,
wow.
and it's crazy. I met Aaron on that Mayhem Fest tour that met Islander on, and then
Yeah.
yeah, he played for Islander for about a year with me. But anyways, yeah, we were really close. So I flew out and saw him, and then through that, Matt from Spoken hit me up, and it was so funny. He's just like, "So what are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with your life right now?" And I was like, "Well, I was at this job for 3 weeks, and now I'm not, and I was like, I don't really know right now, and he's like, dude, well, if you ever want to play guitar again, let me know, hit me up. We'd love to have you out. And I was like, that's cool. I appreciate that, and so I took a couple months just to like chill,
Right.
and just to see like, God, where do you want me to go? Just lead me. And fast forward, that was like in May or June of that year. And fast forward to like October, I went out with Spoken for the first time. So, well, second time technically. I played for Spoken. I played for Spoken once on one tour with Norma Jean back in 2014. It was like a
Oh,
random,
wow.
just like they asked me to fill in, and I did that. But yeah, from
Which is
that,
which is such a stinking talent that someone can just call you and say, "Hey, can you learn these songs?" And I want people to understand the gravity of that, because you can see behind me. I mean, I'm going to move a little bit. Let's see. I mean, I've got lots of guitars all over the place, and
yeah.
if someone called me, I'd be like, "No, I can't."
You're like,
You want a C, you want a G, I can do it, but anything else.
yeah,
And that's also the thing too. At 15 years old, you're getting called to go on tour by, and again, some people may or may not know who Brian Head Welch is, which is still kind of weird to me, but I run into that all the time.
yeah,
But just the magnitude of what his capability is,
yeah,
and the whole quarantine.
yeah,
But so you're almost seriously, as I heard this story, you're probably not going to say, because you seem like a pretty humble dude, but there's some what's the word, prodigy-ness in there to you at 15 years old, right? I mean, whether you agree with it or
yeah,
not,
yeah,
that's
yeah. I
pretty
mean,
crazy.
yeah. All I can say is it's a gift from the Lord. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up around music. My dad's a drummer, and so
Ah,
I was just always around it. And so when I got a little older, I tried to play drums, and I could keep a beat. But I don't
yeah,
know, it didn't really draw me in, and so I didn't
no,
stick with it. And I sang since I was like a child, just like itty bitty JR. I was singing
right,
and stuff, but it wasn't something serious, at least, at least to me. Um,
right.
and then when I'd say about 10 or 11 years old is when I got my first like guitar, like legit, like electric guitar. And it was funny. My parents were like, that was when Guitar Hero came out,
Right.
and I remember a friend of mine across the street had it, and I'd always go over and play it. And I'm like, this is awesome, I love it, and my parents were like, do you want Guitar Hero or a real guitar for your birthday? And I was like, Guitar Hero, come on, come on. And so they got me a guitar anyways, and I was like, what the heck, I want a Guitar Hero, and later on they got me Guitar Hero anyways. but uh
Yeah.
but yeah, when I first got the guitar, I honestly I wasn't super into it at first. And
Acoustic
I
or
don't know.
electric?
Electric.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. It wasn't clicking. There wasn't anything like drawing me into like want to really pursue it.
Right.
And I'd say about a year went by, and then I heard this band for the first time, called Pillar, and
Oh,
they were the band that, when I heard their record, Where Do We Go From Here? That's when I was like, I want to do that. That's awesome. Like, I don't know what it was. It struck a chord with me just hearing that record and the guitar and everything. And so that's when I jumped in just like head first. And I literally would just sit in my room 8 hours a day just trying to learn those songs from that record, and just whatever,
wow.
just learning it by ear and figuring it all out. And that's how I got my start. And then 4 or 5 years later, I'm out on tour with Brian. So
That's that's
it's
nuts.
wild. Literally, just I say it all the time. All the glory goes to God, man. It ain't me, it's Him. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So you said something. You said something. I'm going to grab something. So
yeah,
you talked about obviously the guitar not liking it at first, and I'm saying prodigy here, so everyone needs to know that. and then
yeah, yeah,
singing. So one of my favorites. Oops. Yeah. So you did a song on here, right? That you actually sang, which
yeah,
was a Beaver song.
yeah.
Tell us about that, and how the heck did a Justin Bieber song come into this fold?
Yeah, let's go. Great question. No, dude, it's
And I love Bieber. I do too. I'm
yeah.
a what do they call it? Bieber? What do they call the
Oh,
guy?
what you got? Bieber fever? Is that what it is? Oh, you're a believer. Is that what it is? Yeah, one of
Yeah, a
those. One of
believer.
those. Oh man, yeah. So literally right around that time I was telling you I left Islander and stuff, 2017. We were, I mean, we were writing stuff for a while with Love and Death over the years, like pretty much since we kind of stopped touring. We were writing here and there. I would fly out to Tennessee and just spend a couple days with Jason Rao, who produced the first record, and then on the second record he produced, but he also played bass and he plays guitar for Breaking Benjamin now. But yeah, I'd fly out, we'd hang out and just write stuff, and Brian over the years too would come in and write stuff when he could, and but the timing was just never right, and so 2017 though, I remember specifically, I went out, I want to say it was around June or July, and I was out there for like a couple weeks with Jason, and one of the ideas I had was that "Let Me Love You" song. I've always loved that song. I've just always loved the lyrics, and I know we kind of took the lyrics and kind of put a different meaning to it, which is really cool, because
Right.
I know originally, the song he's talking about, a relationship, a girl and stuff, all this, but we kind of put a spin on it a little bit in the sense of like, it could still be about that, but I also, whenever I hear the song, I think of like, as if it's like God speaking to us, like that
Right.
chorus, "Don't you give up, I won't give up, let me love you,"
Yeah.
and so that always struck a chord with me for some reason. And I told Brian, I was like, dude, I've got an idea. Like, I remember hearing the song in my truck one day, and I just, bam, just this idea in my head, like the guitar, how it could sound, heavy
Yeah.
and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get home. I got to race home and like record this before I forget it. So I literally like dropped what I was doing. I went home and I was just like recording it all and stuff. And I sent it to Brian and Jason, and I was just like, this sounds really bad, cause I'm like learning how to like record stuff still and everything. But like, this is the
Right.
idea I've got, and, and I remember they were both like, this is sick. What the heck? And I was like, let's go. So, obviously, it ended up coming out in like, I think 2021 is when we put that
Yeah.
Perfectly Preserved record out. But so it was a long time in the making,
Right.
but yeah, that's how it kind of came about. And then,
And
we were able to get Lacey on it, which was
yeah.
amazing. We kind of pitched the idea to her, and just our vision behind it and kind of the meaning, and she was all about it, and she was very, she definitely helped us in the process of even making the music video too for it, and just kind of like the visuals and what we wanted to portray
Yeah.
through it. So yeah, it
It's a
was awesome.
great video
Yeah,
too. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
so cool. I love hearing those backstories of it. So
yeah,
um, so a big question, and I think this is good for a lot of people because I think there's a lot of people like you, and I'll put myself in that position too. I was very young. I knew God. I went to church. Very active in it. Loved it. Mine
yeah,
took a different turn though, and
mm,
it was just choices. But
yeah,
how at 15 years old, being involved in music and everything, and then something like this coming along, so heavy that so many people dream of who are in music in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you hear these stories of like Silverchair,
mm,
very young guys in high school that hit the peak. Uh, what helped you? I know you said the people. Brian was huge in that, but
yeah,
how did you stay footed? And you know just protected during that time and not fall to that. And again, not to say you're
yeah,
perfect. I don't want to paint that picture for
no,
any
yeah,
of us. There's us, but this
yeah,
is a tough one.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's like, man, any opportunity that I wanted to, I could have. and
Yeah.
again, obviously having those people out on the road with me, huge. Um, Literally, I know it sounds cliche, but literally like staying in the word, as much as I could, because that's only gonna like build me up and make me stronger every day. Like that's like my foundation, is the word of God. And so like, and again, I'm not perfect. I wasn't in it every single day, but I tried to be, as much as I could. And, and also I just think, again, I go back to how thankful I am for my upbringing, and, being able to be in a Christian home and at church, I had really good leaders. I mean, my youth pastor is still one of my best friends to this day. He's a pastor now out in Kentucky for a church, a
Yeah.
lead pastor. But man, it was so vital those years, I feel like, to be in that space, where I had really good leadership and to learn from and and I would also say too, my parents, dude, were huge influence on me and to this day too, my dad and I were like this, we're so close and it's so awesome, because I try not to take that for granted because I know there's so many people that don't have good relationships with whether it's their parents or their whole families or whatever, and just really, really thankful for uh my mom and dad. They raised me well and even when I was out on tour and stuff, because again, I was really young, so I was still living at home, with
Yeah.
them. When I'd get off tour, I'd go back home, you know, um,
Right. Right.
and uh, and so that really helped me, stay grounded too. Is just being with them and so I think it was just all of those things, together
Yeah.
that really helped me just stay grounded, stay focused, stay on mission. What am I out there for? Am I out there for, to glorify myself and what I can do, or am I out there to reach people for the kingdom? Am I out there to be a
Right.
light for people and not shoving things down people's throats, but literally just like, your actions speak louder than words, man. And so I was just like, I want the way I live my life, the way I um, you know, present myself to people. I want it to be a reflection of Christ.
Right.
So yeah, that's just that's it.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's kind of a misunderstood thing. I mean, mine's a little bit different. Well, most of my listeners have heard about it. The lifestyle I spent. I would have loved to be in music. Now I get to live vicariously through so many people. Get to
Yeah.
go on tour with Lacey and stuff like that. But I was from the hairdresser side, which that career for
Yeah.
16 years. And very similar. Brian and I laugh about it all the time because I was on stage constantly. We were signing autographs, taking pictures. It was constantly around people, and it kind of the same thing. You can have anything you want in that industry,
Yeah.
but again, mine took a different turn, and it was definitely as you talk about that foundation. But I think
Yeah.
too, whether it be music, comedy, hair, whatever, entertainment in general. We think, and we think that, oh, well, it's a Christian thing. I'm going to follow the Christian path. I'm going to get that. It's going to be okay. It's going to be simple. And it's going to be easy. But that's not our world.
Yeah.
When you take really getting into it spiritually and kingdom minded, that's a different world. That's the enemy's world. The best way to put it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like you said, are we going to go into it, wanting to be a light, wanting to be different, because the majority is different, and
Yeah.
there's going to be probably more chances of temptations and everything else than
Yeah.
just staying in our own safe place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, totally. And I think too, like I have such a heart for just people in general, but like obviously I grew up in church and so like love the church. I love being able to serve. Whenever I was home from tour, I'd always be at church as much as I can, playing on the worship team or whatever it is. And I mean, even now we'll probably get into it, but I'm a worship pastor now out at a church, and
yeah, that was my
I do
next
that full
question.
time. We'll talk about that, but dude, like going out into these places where no one would think people are going that are Christian, like whether it's like a corn concert or whatever, it's like those people need the Lord too, and those
Right.
people aren't going to willingly walk into a church You know,
Right.
it's like it'd be a miracle and the Holy Spirit if they just walked in one day, you know, but it's like, man, Jesus met people where they were, you know,
Right.
he met them right where they were in their sin, whatever they were doing, and he loved them. And that's our mission. That's our mission, to
Yeah.
go and make disciples, go and find people, go into the world and find people and love them, you know? And so
Right.
like, I think that's the mindset you have to have going into it, man. You know, and I mean, I've seen it on display, you know, through Brian. You know, I've been out on many corn tours and have seen God work. You know, people getting saved at
Right.
corn shows. You know, no one would even think that. What? You know,
Right.
but it's just dude. It's awesome, man. God, just the way He orchestrates things, man, and it's just so awesome. And you know, and Brian has such an amazing platform to do that,
Yeah.
you know, and it's been really cool to watch it like behind the scenes, you know, because everyone can just judge Brian on the outside, and you know, so many people like, he's not really a Christian, but you went back to corn and all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, man, I see the fruit of Brian, you know, and I'm able to see it firsthand, you know, not many people can, and I can tell you 100% dude's the real deal, you know,
Right.
and lives have really been changed. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's funny. I had a pastor say, two different pastors. One I was talking to about, bringing him in for some things that we were doing, and the question came up was, I don't think it's a good idea because what happens if he falls? And I almost died laughing. I was like, okay, first off, it's legit, kind of what you're saying, but also it's like, wait, if he falls, like, what about you? Like, when you
Mm,
fall is really the thing,
yeah.
because it's gonna happen to all of us, no matter what. But the
Yeah.
legitimacy of his heart is there.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but I was actually talking to another pastor too, talk about just meeting people, and
Yeah.
he said something that was so off color from what I'm used to. But it made sense. And he was like, listen, I have a hard time believing that if Jesus was here, that he wouldn't help someone, as they're sitting there uh, rolling a joint, and to have the opportunity just to be with them and talk with them, that he
Yeah.
wouldn't clean that. And I was like, I was like, oh, you can't say that. And he goes, I can't. He goes, really? Like, that is how we think sometimes, that he's going to do anything it takes to sit
Yeah.
with us. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and granted, it's a weird concept, but I get what he was trying to say, because that is
Yeah.
so cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. So
Well,
now
yeah.
you
Yeah.
are worship pastor stuff. You're doing still with spoken.
Yeah.
What are you doing on the daily?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess quick backstory. So I moved to Colorado back in
Mhm.
December, and I took this position as a worship leader, worship pastor at this church I'm at, Orchard Church, out here in like the Denver area. And
Okay.
a really good friend of mine, his family is out here. His name's Tyler Hart. He is one of the teaching pastors at the church, and I met him and his wife Megan back in I think it was 2013, so a long time ago, like 12 years ago, and they lived in Arizona at the time, and he was a youth pastor. He was at the church that I was at when I was in youth group, and when I started touring, I wasn't there as frequently, and a couple of years later, a friend of mine, Kyle, we were in like school together, like 8th and 9th grade, and he was a part of the youth group too. But he hit me up just out of the blue, was like, "Hey, bro, just want to see how you're doing, and we're doing this thing at the church, like a young adults thing. Didn't know if you'd want to come out. It'd be good to see you." And so I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." So went out there, and when I got there, Tyler was the one that was the youth pastor and over the young adult stuff, and so that's how I met him and his wife. And through that, I started serving more at the church again when I was home, and whether it was on the worship team or helping out with youth, all that stuff. Um, and then a couple years, I want to say, I think it was around 2017, they transitioned to another church out there, and I kind of followed suit and was there basically until they moved here back in, I want to say 2023 is when they moved to Colorado. He got the opportunity to be a teaching pastor out here, and the Lord led him out here, and awesome. But yeah, I would come and visit them when I could, after shows and stuff, fly in and see them over the years, and just really kept that relationship going. And all that to say, it was last year I was visiting, and I was talking to Tyler at lunch once and was just telling him, at that point, the past like year or so, I don't know what it was, but I felt kind of God leading me out of what I was doing. Not fully, I didn't know what it was, but I just knew like, okay, maybe the like full-time touring thing isn't where I'm supposed to be anymore, and that was like crazy for me to even think about, because like at this point, it's been like 14, 15 years, like half of my life I've done this, and so I was like, bro, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what it means, but I just wanted you to know you're one of my best friends and just wanted to keep you in the loop. And he was like, dude, he's like, what do you think about doing full-time ministry? And I was like, I had not really thought about it much because, again, I was just so into what I was doing. I thought this is what I was always going to do. Like, I'm going to tour, I'm going to do music, I'm going to do all this, like this is just where God has me. But I was like, yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing, because again, I've served in church over the years and all that. And I love it. I have a heart for it. And so I was like, that'd be awesome. If that was what God wanted, that'd be great, and he was just asking just to feel out where I was, he wasn't like, oh, well, come work at my church. He was just trying to see where I was at. And, but yeah. And so literally the very next day, after we had that conversation, I was at the church with him. It was like during the week, he had some meetings and stuff. And, after that, he was going to take me to the airport. I'm going to fly home. And he's in his very last meeting with the lead pastor of the church, Doug, and his wife, Shelly, and some other people on the board. And Doug, the pastor, I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years just visiting. And he brought me up just out of the blue. And he's like, man, that JR's always out here all the time, it seems like. He's like, man, do you think you'd ever want to be a part of like what we're doing here and stuff? And Tyler was like, yeah, Tyler was like, that's crazy because we literally just had a conversation yesterday about this. And Doug was like, well, dude, like if he's on board, like we'd love to have him. We'll make a space for him here, and I was like, what in the world? So he's telling me all this and I'm like, what? Like you don't even have a position and you're going to bring me on? Like what in the world? And so I was like, not in a joking way, but I was like, I do kind of want to like pray about it a little bit, and just like, see if this is what God wants, and
you were living where at the time?
I was still out in Arizona at the time. And so, yeah, I was just like, let me press in, see what God does. And also, I was like, I don't want to force anything, and they didn't want to force anything, if this is what was supposed to happen, God was going to open all the doors and make it work, and literally like every door that could fling wide open to confirm like, yes, I want you here is what happened, a place to live, all the different things that needed to happen, like within a month or two happened. And it was just wild. I was like, okay, Lord, this is obviously where you want me to go, and it was scary, because like, I've led worship at that point a couple of times over the years, but it wasn't like something I normally did, and a lot of times it was just playing guitar and stuff. And, but again, it was just like, this is where God's leading me. I don't want to say no, I just want to obey. And as scary as it was, jumping in, it was like, I'm going to trust you, let's do it. Even if we're moving to a different state and doing all this stuff, like, let's do it. So, Yeah, so that was around July or August of last year, and then in December I moved here and started in January.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's been wild, dude. It's been crazy, but yeah, it's been amazing, man. Just this new season, and what's really cool is I'm still able to play shows and stuff. Like I'm still doing stuff with Spoken, and
Yeah.
and if Corn ever needs me to fill in, I'm available, and I've been playing with Pillar. I played with them last year, and there's some more stuff this year that I'm gonna play with them with, and it's awesome because that was one of the first things I brought up. Just in not really an interview, more just like meeting up with some people from the church and just talking through things before I came out. And one of the big things I was like, I would love to still be able to do the stuff I've been doing. Obviously not at its full capacity. Like I'm not gonna go out for 2 months. But
Right.
just if there's ever an opportunity for me to go do some fly dates, some shows, some one-offs, like I'd love to be able to still do that, because it's really it holds a special place in my heart, and I know there's still, people to be reached through that, and they were all for it. They were just like, we know that's a ministry that God's had you in, and you have such an impact, and we want to see you do that and represent us while you're out there, and what a cool opportunity for that. And and so they're all about it, which is really rad. So again, just God working things out, where I need to
Yeah.
be and stuff. But it's been awesome,
Yeah.
man. God's doing some amazing things here, not just at our church, but just in the Denver area, and being able to just see lives changed every weekend. It's incredible. So
Yeah.
just very grateful.
I love I love that. What I really love about that is what you say. Like when you say, "Well, if Corn needs me, I'd love to fill in," or but like some other people will be like, "What? Like I would totally love." But that's not even what you're saying. It's like
Yeah,
your heart. Those are your friends, and
yeah,
even more so, it's like, God, what do you have for me there? What are
mm,
you doing? And I want to be
yeah,
a part of that. Not so
yeah,
much the fame and the craziness of it that most people would struggle with, and that I want people to hear. That's
yeah.
truly the heart that what little I've got to know. It's like how does he stay so grounded? Like this is
Mhm.
cool. And again, those things doesn't make things easier. There's still temptations. There's still craziness,
Yeah,
but I love
yeah.
what you said. How do you stay there? Well, what are we connected to? And I've said that
Mhm.
over and over in our podcast. Whatever you're connected to, mostly is what we're going to follow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so another thing I want people to know is like looking at you. And I've said this about lots of different guests that I've had on. I love the fact that you have dreads. I love the fact that you play heavy music in a band. I love the fact that you pick a Bieber song over a worship song to do, but you still can do
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
and loving the way you look, loving the things that you love, and you can still have fun following God. It's not boring. And
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to tell people. And I know that from experience because I came to know Christ at a very young age, second
Mhm.
grade, didn't have good discipleship, followed the world,
Yeah.
didn't know what a relationship, a true relationship and a discipleship looks like with Jesus. So ultimately, it was boring
Yeah.
looking compared to anything else. Now
Yeah.
today, it kills me. It kills me, and I just want people to know I have more fun than I've ever had before, and I'm at peace, and I'm safe, and I'm not in chaos, and it's a
Yeah.
total life change.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
have you
And
ever
I
heard the
it's
song? Have you ever heard the song "Deep Dive"?
oh, is it the worship song?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Take
just
me on
heard
a
it.
deep dive, deep
Yes, yeah,
dive.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the verse that I just heard this last Sunday, and it wrecked me because it
Yeah.
was that verse, the end of it, that says, uh, "Show me the things that break your heart,
Mhm.
even though it might mess me up." I don't want to
Yeah.
go. Basically, I'll preface, but it's like, I don't want to go the rest of my life not knowing that all the things that I missed about you.
Yeah.
Because it's great. It's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's so awesome, man. Just to hear that. Like for me, man, it can be cliche to say, people say it so much, but it's true. It really is a relationship. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, it's a relationship, and That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it worth it. It's not just this piece of paper that tells me I gotta do da 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 da, and I can't do da 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 da, you know. And it's like the things that are outlined that God is like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, there's reason for it. You know, he's trying to protect us from things that are going to hurt us down the road, you know?
Right.
And so like, obviously like boundaries are great, and like not stepping into certain things are great, you know, because it's not beneficial. It's not gonna be good for you. But God, it just, man, just having a relationship with him and walking day to day with him is like the most fun thing, because literally the mindset that I have to have is like, here I am, Lord, send me. That's
Right.
it, man. Like, just send me. And he's like, be careful what you pray for. And
Right.
because he will, you know? And so it's
Yeah.
like, man, and that's what he's done through my life, is just send me, you know, whether
It's an adventure.
yeah, just different bands and different places in the world. And, you know, now here in a specific place, you know, doing ministry, like, and I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm here for the adventure, man. Wherever you want me to go, I'm down, because I know you've got me and you're going to lead me where you want me to be. And I just want to be a vessel for you to move through, you know, and I just want the Holy Spirit to work through me. You know, it's not me at the end of the day, it's you, God, you know, and like, I'm not standing on this platform, you know, to be praised. It's not me. Like, I just want the Holy Spirit to work through me and people see it, you know, that's all it is. And that's the mindset I have to keep, you know, because if my mindset goes away from that, that's when it gets dangerous. You know, that's when it's like pride and ego and all that stuff start, you know, to form. And I don't want to get to that place, man. I really don't, because I've seen people that are in that place and it's not fun. And, you know, no one wants to be around that, you know, and I just, you know, I'm always thinking like, you know, the impact I have, like, how do I, if I were to die tomorrow, how would people talk about me? You know, what would be the impact that I had on people's lives? Would it be something where it's like, man, that guy sucked, you know, it's just like, that guy was the worst, you know? Or would it be like, that guy was awesome. That dude loved the Lord and gave everything he had for the Lord 100% at all times, you know? So that's how I feel about it, you know? So
That's so
yeah.
rad. I love it. I love it. All right. So as we wrap up, a couple questions that we're going to end with is,
Let's do it.
One, okay. One, if there's anyone out there that is about to get into music like this, or thinking about it, just following that career path, or in it currently right now, but hasn't really, you know, experienced this. What's a good tip? Like the number one tip that you would give them to just be aware of.
Yeah. Well, again, I would just say, you know, we kind of touched on it, but like, man, be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. And, you know, because the people you surround yourself with are who you're going to be, you know? And so if you're surrounding yourself with people that, you know, don't want the best for you, and, you know, will probably end up using you, you know, just because of what you can give and your talent, like that's going to eat you up, and, it's not going to be good, you know? And so like I said, you know, for me, huge part of it was the people I surrounded myself with, going through it. And it's not easy to find either. Like, again, it's literally a blessing from God. Like, you know, the people I've been able to meet and to surround myself with over the years, it's literally just been God orchestrated, you know? So literally just like, man, just pray for the right people in your life, you know, pray that God would surround you with like-minded people that do want what's best for you and don't want to gain anything from you, you know, just genuinely care about you. And you'll go far, man. You really will.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're going to be like top of the world Bieber, go far, but like, you know, God's going to use you, you know, and whether he does take you that far or not, you know, it's like, if you're just willing to be used, like, God's going to use you. And, I mean, you look at the Bible, you look at the people that God used, and they were jacked up, man, jacked up.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, is God used people that weren't qualified, as you'd say.
Right.
And that it's so beautiful because that's exactly how he wants to use us. You know, we're messed up, we make mistakes, but he still wants to use us if we're willing, you know, because through that he's going to get the glory, you know. And so yeah, that's probably my
That's
biggest
awesome.
thing. So yeah.
That's good. I tell people all the time too, like a great litmus test on something like that is, are you willing to ask God? You know, and so we call that prayer, but are
Yeah.
you willing to ask God? That's the relationship you're talking about. It's
Yeah.
not this religious prayer. It's just like, are you willing to sit with Him and go, okay, you know my future, you know
Yeah.
what's best for me. Will you show me? Now, the second half of that is, do we want to hear it?
Mm,
And what's our heart? Because I can ask that and go, well, he didn't answer me, and I'm just going to go ahead and do what I, you know.
yeah.
That's a great litmus test. I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay. Second, what is your favorite secular band and favorite uh, like worship or Christian music?
Mm, that's good. That's good. Come on. Um, dude, that man, that's such a hard question because every time anyone asks me like, "What's your favorite band?" or whatever, I'm like, I have too many, you know. But I mean, I guess I can only think of like whenever I
Let me
answer
make
that,
it
I
easier. Let me make it easier. You're
okay.
going to be trapped in a room for the next 5 years, and you can only take two albums.
Okay, yeah, that's actually good. Okay, yeah. Well, if I had to only take two albums, the first one would be the Pillar record that I was talking about that like influenced me to play guitar.
Yeah.
So that'd be Where Do We Go From Here?
Okay.
Um, man, the second record, gosh, hmm, that's tough. There's so many good bands. There's this band. You may have heard of them. I don't know. They're a secular band. They're called Dayseeker. Um,
No.
oh man, they're awesome. Check them out. Dayseeker. They're amazing. I love their stuff. I've also been listening to a band for a while now called Siamese, and super awesome band. And then actually, I will say this. Literally, like I know, I thought too many bands. Like a week or two ago, I came across a band, and they just have one song out, as far as I know, right now, and it's called "In the Name of the Father," and the band
Oh,
is called President, just all caps President. And
okay.
I was like, "What in the world is this?" It was in my recommended on like YouTube or something. I don't know, and
Okay.
I started watching it, and I was like, this is sick. I was like, what the heck? And I heard the vocalist. As soon as he started singing, I was like, I know that voice from somewhere. Like, what? And so it's kind of a long story. I'll make it short. There's this band called Fight Star, and
Uh-huh.
I don't think they were considered like a Christian band or whatever, but the singer is a Christian.
Okay.
But I loved their music, and I've been listening to them for like, gosh, almost a decade. They've been around longer than that, but um, and they haven't done anything in like, I want to say 5 or 6 years. They haven't put anything out, and just out of nowhere, this new band pops up, and I'm like, that has to be the singer. Like it's the same voice, you know.
Right. Feel it.
And so the singer, he got his start in like a boy band in the UK, and I think they were called Busted, I think is what they're called. And you know that song that the Jonas Brothers do? It's like, I've been to the year 3000. Have
Yeah,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah,
heard
yeah,
that?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that song is actually a song by that other boy band, Busted, and Jonas Brothers covered it and just made it really popular.
I'm writing
Uh,
all this stuff
so yeah, here's some deep lore I'm getting into about this guy. But yeah, all that to say, this new song, this band is awesome. The song again, "In the Name of the Father" by President, and it's rad because it's heavy, but it's got some cool like pop elements. And the guy's voice is so unique. I've always loved his voice, and but it's cool because his lyrics are very like a lot of the things he talks about are like certain like titles and whatever. Like it's very scriptural. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he's getting bold. He's talking about it. Let's go, you know? So yeah, all that to say,
Right.
probably the Pillar record and then that one song.
That one song, I'm
Maybe.
spinning
I don't
over
know.
and over.
As of now, that's my pick. I'm sure it'll change in like
That's awesome.
a couple
Okay, so
hours, you know?
you said that was Fight Star was the original?
Yeah. So that's the other band he had. And
Okay. Check these out. I
yeah.
love finding new music all the time.
Yeah, check them out. They're awesome.
Cool. Okay, so last question.
Mhm.
Currently, what is your go-to on whatever you're streaming for a series? Is it Netflix,
Ooh.
Amazon, anything? Like what's your like?
Yeah.
Ooh, what's happening right now?
Come on. You're asking all the right questions right now. No. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sure everyone and their mom has heard of this show, but Severance, if you've watched
Never heard
that.
of it.
Oh, no
No,
way. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, right now.
It's on Apple TV, and it is wild. Ben Stiller is I think he's one of the producers for it. I don't even know how to like start to describe it. It's the first season came out, I mean, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and then earlier this year, the second season came out. There was like a lot of delays because obviously the COVID stuff, and then there was like writer strikes and all this, so it took them like kind of a while to get the second season out. But there was like so much hype behind it, and but yeah, Severance, you got to check it out. It like, if I can break it down to the most quickest way to explain it, it's basically there's this company that if you work for them, they basically do this thing. It sounds crazy, almost like end times kind of stuff, but they put this like chip in your brain, and then you go down this elevator at the building, and when you go down, it like splits your personality almost, if I can say it like that. And so you work at this place, and then when you go back up, like the chip comes back and you don't remember anything from when you worked. And so it's like,
Whoa.
and it's a crazy story because like if you watch it, they call like the people that work innies, and then the people up there that don't remember it outies, innies and outies. And so like they have no recollection. Like if when you're down here at work, you have no recollection of your life outside of work. And then when you're up there, you have no recollection of your work life. And so it's literally like the ones that are working, like they get in this elevator to go up, but they'll do scenes where it's like they go up, but then it just shows the doors opening again and they're there for the next day of work. It's wild, bro. And the whole story, the lore, everything it's pretty insane. Like it's a slow burn at first because you're like,
right,
what the heck am I watching? What is going on? But as you go, like especially the season finale of the first season is so wild, bro, and I can't even say anything more. It's just, yeah, you got to check it out for yourself. So that is an amazing show, Severance, and then I just watched the first season of a show. I think it's on Hulu called Paradise, and that's a crazy show too. Yeah, you just have to watch it. I could explain it, but you just gotta watch it. You just gotta watch it.
I just found a show that I'm hooked in right now, and I have I forgot what kind of TV I have, but it's whatever their free TV part is, and it's a show called Taboo with Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of set in the days of like the old America being formed and all that, and he was a mariner and coming over, and he's real. It's cool. It's really jacked up. It's one of those jacked up ones. You're like, what did I just get into? Like I saw Tom Hardy. He looked cool. His outfit was all black and big boots and coolness and piratey, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, geez.
That's awesome.
I don't know what this is, but it's cool.
That's rad. Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I love Marvel stuff, So like,
Oh yeah.
I know the recent Daredevil series came out, and that was pretty good. And and then there's this other. Okay, there's too many shows, bro. I love I love TV shows. I think more than movies. Like I like movies, but like I think I love TV shows because one, you can get invested like so much more. Like there's so much more detail that you
Yeah.
can do in a show and really build up characters and storyline, and I just love details. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I love the binge stuff, but I do love like it sucks in the moment, but I do love when they just space it out once a week because it's so fun getting to like theorize like what's going to happen next and stuff,
Right.
especially with like friends. Like I'll watch some of these shows with some friends of mine and and we'll go on YouTube and watch people that do like theory videos and all these different things, and it's just a lot of fun, just to like speculate. And um but yeah, there's also this other show. I think I want to say season 4 is coming out this month,
Oh
called
wow.
The Bear.
Huh.
It's on Hulu. It's like it's a drama, but it's this guy who's a chef, and it's like he opens a restaurant. And I know that sounds
Oh
really
yes.
boring,
I
but
saw
it's actually
no,
awesome.
I saw a preview of that. That does look interesting.
Dude, it's not what I thought it was gonna be because someone was like, "Yeah, it's this guy who opens a restaurant and cooks." I'm like, "Well, that sounds pretty pointless." Like, I was like, "What?" But there's actually like a whole like they build these characters like a whole story, and like you're like invested in these people, and it's just
Right.
crazy. I'm like, I'm watching a show about these people that work at a restaurant, but it's amazing. Like, it's pretty wild.
Wow.
So, that's a great one too. So yeah, I think that's about it. And then obviously there's a show called I Think You Should Leave on Netflix. And it's just a bunch of sketches by this comedian, Tim Robinson. And that one's pretty wild too. There's some funny
Yeah.
stuff in there. It's just his humor is so funny because it's so not what you would expect. And the way the sketches end, there's like no resolve. And it's just like, what just happened? But that's a great one too. So too many. I could just keep
Yeah.
naming stuff off, but yeah,
Wait. Awesome. Well, man,
yeah,
I just want to thank you so much for letting us not only just kind of hang out and talk, but letting 51 countries get inside your head and your heart and your life a little bit, and just seeing you what it means to just be real. And I think that's really
yeah,
important.
yeah,
I love that. I mean, the things you've done, you have every right to brag about, and you just don't hear that in your heart. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. So, thanks for
yeah,
sharing that. And I'm speaking
yeah,
for the rest of the viewers too. So,
dude, yeah,
yeah. So
absolutely,
before we sign out, anything you want to just share with anyone before you leave?
man. If this is the
Pressure.
time, yeah, if this is the time to plug stuff, no. I mean, yeah, obviously, I'm still a part of the band Spoken, and we put a record out about a little over a year ago called Reflection, and love it, awesome. It means a lot to me and the guys, and so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's streaming anywhere you could possibly imagine, and we have music videos and stuff too on YouTube, all that. You can follow us on Instagram, Spoken Official, Facebook, all that. You can follow me, just my name, JR Bareis, if you can figure out how to spell it. And and then also, I mean, the church I'm at, it's called Orchard Church. If you happen to be in Colorado or the Denver area, we'd love to have you. There's 2 campuses, one in Brighton, one in Green Valley Ranch, and we also have online services. So if you're like on the other side of the world and want to check it out, if you go on the website, we live stream our services, so you can check it out too if you're looking for something like that. And yeah, man. Last thing I'll say, God loves you, and yeah.
Right on. Well, let me pray us out. And again, I thank you. So,
Yeah,
um, Heavenly Father, we just love you. And we thank you so much for the opportunity to sit here with JR and just be authentic and real. And just love that his heart just shows that knowing you doesn't have to be weird. So I pray that through this conversation, through this video, through the audio, Lord, as it goes out into your space, into what you created, that people would hear that people would understand that you are chasing after us in just the crazy and mighty way. And your love is just so nutty. It doesn't matter who we are, what we've been through. You just, as JR said, just want a relationship with us. That's what it is. Just hangout time. And it doesn't have to be weird. And it is fun. It not can be fun. It is fun. It is amazing. It is something greater than we can ever experience and understand in our human minds. So again, thank you for his life. We pray over JR and everything that you have him in, and things that you will even bring new to him in this adventure that we call life with you. So we love you. Thank you, Jesus, in your powerful name. Amen.
Yes, and I just want to add to that, Lord. Thank you for Daniel, God. Thank you for his life. Thank you for his ministry, Lord. Thank you for what he's doing for you in the kingdom. And God, I pray that a blessing over him, a blessing over his family, God, and be with him as he goes out on the road with Lacey, and just use him in a mighty way, God. And thank you for him. Amen.
Amen. Yeah. All right, brother. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you out there. Hey, come visit us, and we'll be in Colorado somewhere. I think we'll be in Colorado Springs. I don't know how close that is.
Dude, yeah, hit me up. Let me know. That'd be awesome to come see you guys. That'd be rad.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, brother. Have a good one. We love you, man.
Thanks, man. Love you guys too.
All right. See ya.
All right.